1 minute. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us for our first operational briefing for the Valley Fire. It is now 11:30. Before we begin, I would like to remind everybody to please turn off your cell phones and keep any conversations off to the side. In the interest of keeping this briefing flowing, we'll go ahead and hold questions until the last speaker has spoken, at which point we will be able to take some questions. Our first speaker is going to be Operations Section Chief Mike Milkovich.
Good afternoon. Fire progression is part of the history. We started out here to the west. The last 2 days we've had significant growth of over 5,000 acres a day with moderate winds on the fire. Our tactics and strategies have really been to confine this fire, to build hand lines, dozer lines in the vulnerable areas and where the structures and infrastructure are. We've been successful doing those operations. Those will continue today. Our assets at risk, of course, being the homes around the fire, the infrastructure with the high power lines, and minimizing the potential growth of the fire as wind events or the predicted wind event comes in tonight. A lot of effort happening out there, both with aircraft, dozers, phenomenal job by our hand crews working. Again, it is our goal right now is to minimize the potential fire front that could move out with the wind event. I'd like to introduce San Diego Sheriff Bill Gore.
Thanks, Mike. I'd like to talk just briefly here this morning about some of the evacuations that have been done so far. We've evacuated about 1,420 individuals so far in this Valley Fire event. We have temporary relocation sites at the Steel Canyon High School in Spring Valley and the Gene McQueen Middle School in Alpine. It's critical now more than ever to get your cell phones, your emails registered with Alert San Diego so you can get these emergency evacuation notices. You can register your cell phone by going to readysandiego.org. They'll get you text messages, cell phone calls. You'll get email notification when evacuations are necessary. But remember, you don't have to wait to be told to evacuate. You're the best judge. If you feel you're in danger, take up your personal goods, your family members, and let's not forget our pets, and evacuate. You should know once you've been evacuated from a certain area, you won't be allowed to return to that area. And law enforcement will be there, both sheriff's deputies and the California Highway Patrol, protecting your property while you've been evacuated. Again, it's so critical now that you prepare those emergency kits. If you haven't already evacuated, be putting together a 3-day supply of water, some non-perishable food, your medicines, and don't forget, I say like the pets, to get those pets taken care of. Speaking of your dogs, your cats, let's talk about your big livestock, your horses. Now's the time. Don't wait till the last minute to try to get, if you have horses or cattle or any livestock, to get them evacuated. If we wait to the last minute, it ends up happening. Your big rigs end up clogging some of these back roads, making it impossible for the emergency vehicles to get into where they have to go to fight the fire. So we appreciate your cooperation in thinking ahead, planning ahead, getting your family ready, getting your livestock, your pets ready, and getting them out of the area if you can. Also, it's important to remember not to have any drones. It's very tempting to want to see what's going on with the fire. either by driving into the area and taking your own videos or having drones up there. Just remember, if you have a private drone or a hobbyist up there with a drone, that prevents the other aerial firefighting resources from flying, and so you become a real part of the problem. Keep the drones out of the area, and unless you're living in that area, keep yourselves out of there and keep those roads clear for the emergency vehicles. Now it's my pleasure to introduce the Unified Incident Commander, California Team 15, Chief Mike Clemo.
Good morning, everyone. I want to start by saying just a couple of things. We could not have made the progress that we have so far without the relationships and partnerships that are enjoyed by this community. My team is humbled and honored to be here. Thank you for hosting, but we're here to do a very solid job. Over the last few days, we have battled significant fire growth. It's tripled in the last 4 days, and significant threats to communities. In the state of California right now, in fact, nationally, we are engaged in conversations to acquire the resources necessary to bring them down to this community and protect it as best we can. From a bigger picture perspective, we are all strapped, and we will protect everything that we can with the resources that we have. You have a fully functioning team at the ready. We have prepared significant plans for tonight for the wind event. Despite what you see outside right now, we understand that we have fire weather headed this way tonight and are prepared to do so. It is our intent to take care of you, your family, the structures that you've built, your home, as best that we can. To speak to that a little bit further and with some more detail, I'd like to introduce Deputy Chief Jason Malinwrench to come up and talk about some specifics about what we're doing for you tonight. Thank you. Jason.
Good morning, everybody. Jason Malinwrench, Unified Incident Commander on the Valley Fire. With current situational update for the incident, right now we're sitting at 17,345 acres and 3% contained. Operational priorities currently are the preservation of life, property, critical infrastructure, and natural values at risk. We currently have 593 personnel assigned to the Valley incident. And as previously mentioned, with the red flag conditions expected for the county, we expect those winds to impact our fire around 2000 hours, 8 o'clock this evening. With that, we've been focusing our priority along the western flanks of the fire and mitigate that to reach our inhabited unincorporated communities of San Diego. We'd also like to thank and recognize an agreement we have with the U.S. Navy. We were able to activate the Naval Third Fleet, and we have several of their helicopters on site right now working to protect the communities at risk. Additionally, for more information and to help better prepare for the effects of fire, please visit readyforwildfire.org. And I'm going to turn it over to Cleveland National Forest Supervisor, Scott Tannenberg.
Thank you very much, Jason. So I'm Supervisor Tangenberg. I help manage the National Forest, the United States Department of Agriculture National Forest. Much of the fire, as you see, is burning in that National Forest. But really what I'm here to talk about is that combined effort that we're engaged in with all jurisdictions to help combat this fire and to help do everything we can to protect life and property. With that said, and you've already heard it a little bit, there are many incidents statewide and nationwide that are ongoing that are stretching our resources very thin. 25 major fires currently ongoing in the state at the moment, with almost 14,000 firefighters engaged just in California. That's a staggering number and includes not just people from CAL FIRE, the U.S. Forest Service, but it also includes international assistance and assistance from our military. Even with that, this has been a remarkable year statewide, and we've already eclipsed our previous record for a number of acres burned to get to roughly 2.2 million acres burned so far. Numerous structures have been destroyed statewide, and certainly several on this fire, and many more are threatened. This includes thousands of people in evacuation states and additional thousands of people at risk. To that end, the United States Forest Service and the U.S. Department of Agriculture enacted a closure order for all national forest lands from the Cleveland National Forest north all the way to the Stanislaus National Forest, which borders Yosemite in the center of the state. This measure was not taken lightly. It was taken explicitly to address the potential for additional starts with this wind event impending, as well as address the difficulty in evacuating individuals who may find themselves in a troublesome spot. All of those efforts undergoing include the very aggressive firefighting efforts that have taken place on this fire and the efforts that we have all put in place to try to minimize the impact to communities. However, that does not mean that there isn't more to do, and that does not mean that people should not prepare per the encouragements of our CAL FIRE and sheriff's partners, as well as any assistance that we're able to get from our multiple agencies, as was mentioned before, the Navy, the California Highway Patrol, etc. Thank you very much to the team for coming in to help us out. Thank you so much for the relationships that we have. And speaking of those relationships, I'm going to turn it over now to Supervisor Diane Jacob.
Thank you very much. We've been here before, and I just hope and pray that we don't see something like we saw in 1970, in 2003, and in 2007. But it's clear the potential is out there for a very dangerous situation. The good news is we made it through Labor Day, and that was a tough few days. And we've had some tough losses. Unfortunately, some folks have lost their home. My heart goes out to all of those and those that have been evacuated. I have seen this devastation firsthand. I've driven it. The flames, I've seen the gray, scorched earth with the rocks peeking through. Many families parking along the roadsides, whether it's been Haftel Valley, Lyons Valley Road, not able to get back into their homes, a bit of frustration there. The many fire trucks staging at homes, protecting those lives. Those that had the dispensable space were saved. And then the many firefighters that were bravely fighting this fire in record excessive heat like we've never seen before. 115 degrees and over. I mean, it's incredible. That is unprecedented. I saw a lot of aerial support too, from the helicopters to the DC-10 to the 747 to the C-130, an incredible aerial and ground support. And that coordination, the coordination of this county is second to none. And we had the boots on the ground, we had the aerial attack, and as I said, all of that was second to none. And it's that 1-2 punch that knocks out the fire. It's a tough one. Again, my heart goes out to all those that have been affected, however you've been affected, especially those who have lost their homes. But let's remember, and sometimes we forget, even though 11 homes have been lost at this point and some structures, let's never forget all of the lives and all of the homes that have been saved by what has been going on out there. And that's because of the first responders. We've had the deputy sheriffs, we've had the firefighters, the ones that have been out there bulldozing the line in very dangerous and tough topography, really tough terrain. And those hand crews that are out there on the ground, absolutely incredible. And a thanks from me goes out to all of you. And then all those that are taking care of those that are evacuating and need some care and some hand-holding. It's tough mentally, it's tough emotionally on those. Unfortunately, as you've heard, it may get worse before it gets better. And the forecasters are saying we could see a return of the Santa Ana winds as soon as this evening. The winds could reach as high, as I understand, 40 to 50 miles an hour, putting even more folks in harm's way, and those Santa Anas would push the fire from the east to the west, as we know. So if you're in any danger out there, any of you folks, don't wait for an evacuation order. You should have your prep kit, everything in gear, ready to leave. The Santa Ana winds move a fire very, very fast, as we have seen here in San Diego, and they're expected to hit the hardest in the middle of the night. That's not the time to make an evacuation plan or to get your evacuation kit prepared. It's now is the time to do that if you have not done it yet. Keep your phone on. If you get an evacuation order, be ready to go immediately, and make sure you have downloaded the SD emergency app on your phone and you're signed up for the reverse 911 notifications at readysandiego.org. We want no loss of life. That's #1 priority. And it's critical for people living in the evacuation warning areas to leave early or have a plan for a quick escape. Law enforcement, emergency management will use every available public alert and warning platform to tell people when it's time to leave. But those are technology-based, and unfortunately, no technology is infallible. Just remember that. They're doing their best. People may be concerned about leaving home. I've heard that. I've seen that. But what does a fire shelter look like during a pandemic? Well, our Office of Emergency Services has been working on protocols for sheltering with the American Red Cross for months to address exactly this issue. We have a plan which includes hotel rooms, congregate shelters when needed, so please know that precautions will be taken to protect a person's health and safety at the evacuation centers and the hotels or wherever they may be placed safely. The plan includes, as I mentioned, hotel rooms, congregate shelters when needed. My last word would be to all, be careful, be safe, be prepared. And with that, I didn't mention pet evacuations or large animal evacuations, as we have Mayor Steve Voss here from the city of Poway, and I know he and his family personally have been involved in the small and large animal evacuations. I'd like to give Steve just a moment to say a word about what they're doing, which is very important, particularly to people in the backcountry.
Supervisor Jacob gives me too much credit. There are heroes and angels working out in the backcountry. We are so thankful for all the first responders and their teams. But I want to tell you about the heroes and angels. There are volunteers out there with the San Diego Humane Society Emergency Response Team. They train all year. And then they go out, and I've seen pictures of when they're heading out towards the flames with horse trailers, with trucks to get small animals. I know because my wife's been sending me those pictures as she's been out there for the last 48 hours, rescuing horses and cattle and goats and sheep. I'm thankful she's not bringing them to our house. There are 2 shelters where they can be taken. Large animals can go to Oak Canyon Ranch at 12310 Campo Road. Smaller animals can go to the Bonita shelter. Just this morning, in a worst case, I've spoken to Lakeside Rodeo Grounds and Poway Rodeo Grounds. If things get bad, they will be ready. They're not open yet, but they will be ready to open. And people and their small pets are welcome at Steel Canyon School and Joan McQueen School. You can take your pets there with you. But again, thank you to these teams and the heroes and angels that are out there as volunteers heading into the flames and smoke to save our furry friends. So thank you.
Thank you, Steve. We have a lot of heroes. And the heroes, and my big thank you to all of those on the front lines, all the all the first responders, and that will continue. But I have one personal hero, and I have the privilege of introducing him right now. Since Tony Meacham, not only the chief of the Cal Fire Division here, but he's also chief of the San Diego County Fire Protection District, has done a phenomenal job since he's been in San Diego. He has created a plan to make us the best prepared that we have ever been under our county fire district. And Tony, I want to thank you personally. You probably didn't know that you were my personal hero, but you are. So with a big introduction to our fire chief, Tony Meacham. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Supervisor, for the kind words. I do want to mention something, and I appreciate those kind words, but let's never forget that despite the aircraft and the technology, that what puts this fire out is young men and women still climbing hills, still running chainsaws, and still swinging axes and Pulaskis. And those efforts have occurred over the last few days under some very trying conditions, and those efforts will continue despite what the weather brings tonight. I think you heard from all of the speakers that we are unified in our response. I've said it many, many times. Nobody does it better than San Diego County. And we have a seamless operation between our federal counterparts with the United States Forest Service, CAL FIRE, the County of San Diego, to include our incredible Sheriff's Department, Office of Emergency Services. I was on a phone call this morning. There's a whole host of people behind the scenes from the Department of Environmental Health, Animal Control Services, our damage inspection teams, our recovery teams, those people that are standing by, ready to offer to assistance to those people that have lost their homes. This collective, unified front will continue, and we will face any challenges that come tonight. I want to be very clear on my messaging. We have a sleeping giant that is in the backcountry. And while we have focused tremendous effort on the west side of the fire, tonight the winds are going to blow, and this fire is has the potential to burn. We need the public to heed the warnings of public safety officials. Tragically, 8 people have lost their lives, and we have had to fly multiple people to burn centers over the last few days. It is not worth your life. It is not worth serious injury that can come. When the Sheriff's Department asks you to leave, leave. We will do what we can to protect infrastructure tonight, but our focus is going to be on life safety and getting those people out of harm's way. So again, please heed our warnings. Oh, I want to close and just thank, before we open it up, the entire team is open and I'll field a few questions. But I do want to take a moment and thank the Tribal Council, the residents, and the staff here at Viejas. I called Bob Full, their fire chief, on Saturday, and within an hour they had opened up their home to us to bring our army of firefighters in for the next 2 days. To Bob, to you, and the staff here at Viejas, I want to say thank you. And with that, we'll certainly take a few questions. Here. Yeah, so the first question was where the lives been lost. The 8 lives are a statewide count through this recent fire siege, which has lasted, approximately the last 30 days. And the second question, I'll certainly turn it to the sheriff if he has anything to add, is how do we notify people during a power outage? The Sheriff's Department will be going door to door, knocking on those. This afternoon, we will be pushing out some pre-alerts before potentially the power goes out through a public safety power shutoff. But again, part of that is you as the media getting the message out for us now. People know where they live, they know where the fire's burning, and they know what comes tonight. They need to be prepared to leave. If you are somebody with large animals, if you are somebody that has senior citizens living with you, or a special needs population, or requires home medical care, those types of vulnerable populations, we are asking those people that are within the evacuation warning area to leave now. Okay, or the evacuation area. So with that, Sheriff, anything you wanted to add? You covered it. Okay. Any other questions? We'll take 3 or 4 questions, and then we need to get these folks back to work. Not on this fire, but in San Diego County, we've had issues with drones flying, and it is really a statewide issue. These people want to get up, get some photographs, but you wouldn't think, an 8-inch or a 10-inch drone can bring down a helicopter. But for the safety of our air crews, those can have disastrous results. And we're serious when you say, if we see a drone in the fire area, we will immediately shut down our aircraft operations due to the safety of our air crews. So it's critical. The news media, we allow them to fly. The news media flies up above the firefighting aircraft with our high-powered cameras. So rather than flying your drone, just turn to the news media and watch the video footage that all of you provide.
I'm sure there are a lot of people that want to help in some way or another. Is there any way people can or should be helping now or get out of the way, volunteer, donations, anything like that?
Yep, so the County Office of Emergency Services this morning through the San Diego Foundation has set up the Valley Fire Recovery Fund. So I would direct you to the county's Alert San Diego website, and our County Office of Emergency Services will post that. We do want to caution that for those people that want to donate, we ask that you donate to a reputable and recognized nonprofit organization, and that we be very cognizant of scam artists and those types of things. So please go to Alert San Diego, and there's more information there. Okay, with that, we'll be available to the side, but we need to get these folks back to work, and thank you all for being here.